I'm your host, Kara McKinney, and this is Tipping Point. The re-education camps are here. World-renowned Canadian psychologist and best-selling author Dr. Jordan Peterson has just been sentenced to one. The Ontario Court of Appeal has now decided against granting Dr. Peterson his motion for leave after August ruling that he submit to re-education or lose his clinical license. The Ontario College of Psychologists ordered the sensitivity training because of online flack by activists mad that Dr. Peterson refuses to use preferred pronouns. They didn't make their decision based off of any actual client or student of Dr. Peterson's who claimed harm by his comments. And that's terrifying. A mob of evil people who don't know you from Adam can destroy your life by citing a harm they never actually physically experienced. But time and time again, that is becoming the new model for the left to ram through its totalitarian controls. Because it's so easy to find some random Joe Schmo and have them complain about the politics of a person they never met. With all the unemployed pothead lefties these days, they honestly have nothing else better to do with themselves than to be terminally online complaining about everyone. Dr. Peterson is vowing to record all the mandatory re-education classes he has to take and to upload them online and unedited for all the world to see what these institutional bodies are telling him he must ideologically ascribe to and parrot. And while this is going on, the president of the European Commission was just introduced by Klaus Schwab at the ongoing World Economic Forum meeting in Davos to talk about the supposed dangers and the rise of mis- and disinformation, and thereby hinting at wanting greater government control over what's allowed to be said or reported on online. But like I heard Alan McLeod from Mint Press News say recently in a podcast, the problem with misinformation isn't what some random guy posts on Facebook. What gets people killed or nations into war and the like is the misinformation spread by the very government entities trying to shut down all opposing voices against them. We know there are lies in hindsight concerning weapons of mass destruction, COVID, the Russiagate hoax, Hunter Biden's laptop, Ukraine, the wide open border, and all the rest. And they don't want us to keep finding out more, so they'd rather shut us up. The Biden regime just let an American die in Ukrainian custody for Pete's sake because he opposed the war with Russia. There really is no length they won't go to. The Daily Wire is now reporting just how involved our own DHS is with spinning propaganda by shutting down all opposing voices as being dangerous misinformation. Investigative journalist Luke Rosiak writes, quote, "The Department of Homeland Security paid an activist group $700,000 to create self-described propaganda that attacked conservatives, a new investigation found. DHS used a grant program intended to combat terrorists called the Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Program to pay activists to write blog posts that criticize Donald Trump and other conservatives under the guise of media literacy," the Media Research Center found through public records requests. Joining us now to discuss is Sheriff Mark Lamb, a candidate for U.S. Senate in Arizona. Mark, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, Karen. Not only am I a candidate for the U.S. Senate, I'm probably a victim of all these same things you just read about.
Oh, definitely. If you don't mind for our audience, just laying out what you mean by that.
Look, I don't view it as disruptive. The reason the founding fathers put it in there is so that I guess we could be disruptive to governments that were heading down that tyrannical and treasonous road. We see what's happening in the EU. We see what's happening so many places around the world, Canada. We don't want that to happen in our country. And when we attempt to be disruptive towards things that we find to be unconstitutional and un-American, they want to stifle those voices. But I'll tell you, this is exactly what the founding fathers prepared us for. And they always sell it under, like, this is a good reason to do it. Thomas Paine said the greatest tyrannies are always perpetrated in the name of the noblest causes.
No, that's so right. It rings so true to this day as well. And as I was reading this report, I thought to myself, no wonder our southern border is sitting wide open, right? Terrorists, criminals, and all the like pouring right in underneath our noses because the DHS is sitting here and using our money to go run psyops against President Trump and his supporters and conservative policies. I mean, really, with all the real problems that we have at the border right now and the human death toll that keeps going up at it, this is what they're spending their money and time on.